There's a steady increase in young guys being virgins under the age of 30, and this is worrying social scientists and young men alike. According to the Pareto principle, there is an 80-20 difference between men and women, which means that 100% of women want to date the top 20% of men. Famous marketing professor and personality professor Scott Galloway, in a recent interview, has shed light on the increasing number of men facing a crisis in various aspects of their lives. From financial struggles to a lack of social connections, the implications of this crisis extend far beyond an individual level. He even goes on to say that up to 180% more men in the West are not physically involved with women when compared to the last time this study was conducted a couple of years ago. There have been numerous studies that have demonstrated this, the most recent of which was probably in 2020. However, there are numerous data sets that demonstrate that 80% of women or 80% of men are not appealing to women and men respectively. Research has found that women are more fascinated by the top 20% of men according to the Pareto principle. I hope this also makes it clear what this 80-20 rule is, as it's being grossly misstated by RP coaches out there. I recently read some articles online and heard it in the news, as well as how fewer young people were being physically intimate, and I thought to myself, wow, this is something I never thought would happen. The article evaluated survey data from 12,000 adults aged 18 to 49 in 21 countries and found some surprising results. It found out that not all people like physical intimacy. 81% of the adults surveyed between the ages of 18 and 49 said they liked it. Adults aged 18 to 29 enjoy it at a rate of 77%, while those aged 30 to 49 enjoy it at 83%. But 13% of respondents, or almost 1 in 5, indicated they don't like it. Virginity is widespread, particularly among young individuals. 38% of adults aged 18 to 24 worldwide are virgins. The majority of young adults who are virgins live in Asia-Pacific nations, 84% in Malaysia and Singapore, 78% in Indonesia, 53% in Thailand, and 47% in the Philippines. In the US, 53% of adults ages 18 to 24 report being virgins. Fewer adults worldwide are virgins after the age of 25. 18% of individuals aged 25 to 29, 9% of adults in their 30s, and 6% of adults in their 40s. Intimacy is difficult to find for young people, at least in part because many of them still live with their parents. Nearly half of persons ages 18 to 24 do not actively date, 44%. 30% have never been in a committed relationship, and 32% have never engaged in a casual affair. Their romantic lives are probably impacted by the fact that 55% of them reside with their parents. It's not as prevalent as it may seem to have casual, intimate encounters. 29% of adults aged 18 to 29 have had a one-night stand. 15% have hooked up with several people at once, and 13% have had an intimate encounter with a coworker. Although most casual flings are initiated in person, technology is becoming more and more prevalent in people's intimate behavior. Adults ages 18 to 29 who have had a casual fling met in person 93% of the time, and online 48% of the time. It's interesting to note that 20% of guys between the ages of 18 and 29 dated someone they met at church. Young adults are more at ease with decreasing intimacy for young adults. In the past 10 years, the percentage of 18 to 29-year-olds reporting no intimacy in the previous year has more than doubled. According to research reported in the Washington Post, the percentage of men under 30 in the USA who aren't having intimate encounters nearly tripled between 2008 and 2018. Approximately 10% of men under the age of 20 reported not having intimate encounters in the 12 months prior in 2008, significantly more men than women. For men under 30, this figure has increased by over 3 times in the last 10 years, reaching 28%, whereas for women under 30, the increase has been less than 10%. The paper pointed out that this may not be entirely accurate because of the manner the data was reported. They could have had intimate encounters before turning 18, or only slept with other guys. It also revealed that the number of young men who report being virgins has tripled since 2008. According to research from January, fewer American high school students are engaging in intimate activity, compared to 47% in 2005 and 53% in 1995. It was discovered that just 41% of students in grades 9 through 12 had engaged in intimate activity. As per another study, the number of young people who abstain is rising. Up from 22% in 2002, no less than 27% of men aged 15 to 24 have never engaged in any kind of intimate activity. In contrast, 29% of women in that age range had never had any intimate encounters, up from 22% when the previous study was conducted. Teenagers aged 15 to 19 showed the greatest increase in virginity. But eventually, they'll take the risk. Nearly everyone between the ages of 25 and 44 has had intimate encounters, according to the survey. In that range, 98% of women and 97% of men have engaged in normal intimate encounters. 89% of women and 90% of men have engaged in oral encounters with someone of the opposite gender, and 36% of women and 44% of men have engaged in unorthodox intimate encounters. Women with college degrees are less likely to report same-gender activity than women from other educational backgrounds. Higher educated guys engage in more same-gender activity when it comes to men, and for women, those with less education reported the highest level of same-gender activity. So essentially what this means is the more educated a woman is, she's more likely to be interested in men. But the more educated a guy is, he is more likely to be more interested in other guys. But even if the GSS data are accurate, we can still consider if another aspect of the incel story is real. Do a select few Chads and Stacys truly control the physical intimacy market? Many RP coaches use the adage that 80% of the intimate time is between 20% of the guys. Is this a fact? In fact, the response is negative. Naturally, it isn't. Just think about how many intimate encounters 20% of males would be engaging in. For that kind of percentage to be maintained, a sizable portion would need to be performed 2 a days on a regular basis. In reality, the top 20% of active young males who have never been married control around 50–60% of the intimacy market, according to the GSS. For women, it's roughly the same, and these shares essentially remain constant over time. The top 20% of the most promiscuous males account for nearly 60% of male intimate encounters when the number of partners is measured, rather than intimate frequency. This pattern is, once more, remarkably constant through time. Chads and Stacys, Tinder or Bumble, changes in women's attitudes about partnerships, or even a new battle between the genders, are not the main causes of the surge in young male abstinence. It primarily has to do with people spending longer in school and longer at home. However, that story isn't really about a shift in intimacy politics. Rather, it's about the new information economy, and to some extent, skyrocketing housing costs. As a result, it comes as no surprise that lack of intimacy is on the rise throughout a number of nations. This implies that it might be harder to come up with a solution to help young people form pairs. The Western society is slowly imploding. Without strong masculine influences and personalities who can inspire young men, the number of young men not having any physical relations is only going to increase, creating further rifts between genders and generations. Lord help us all. Although more educated people do eventually tend to get married, men and women are far less likely to get married while in school and throughout time. In many nations, more years of schooling are linked to marriage occurring at a later age. Therefore, marriage is postponed, as more education is needed to obtain a solidly middle-class job, leaving more young people, both men and women, alone and lonely. Thanks for watching Man Reacts. Show us your love and support by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. Support us and help us spread support for men around the world. Do comment and share your thoughts. We're always up for a healthy debate and discussion.